tell us a little bit about what you have done to be so successful in your business up until this point, and what is your plan for future growth, like to help you expand? Because, you know, we're trying to really look at, many of us have that, where do we go from here?
So I just have to say, first of all, we have some amazing speakers on this team, and I am not one of them. So I have my notes here, and my mouth is like shaking when I smile, so I'm like extremely nervous, so just letting you know now. So I've been coaching for 2.5 years, and like you said, I primarily ran my business off my Facebook personal page. I did start an Instagram, I started a blog, I started a Pinterest, but I never really focused on them because I had so much luck with my Facebook personal page this whole 2 years. So, like she said, the problem with Facebook is that you have a maximum number of friends, and as long as you're adding friends every day like you should be, you're eventually going to reach that max number like I did. So when that happened, I started panicking, like, what do I do? So I started sending messages to coaches who weren't in my downline, like, I'm so sorry, I feel so bad, don't hate me, but I'm gonna have to delete you so I can make room for potentials. And I'm like, there's gotta be another way. So I'm like, okay, I just have to do it. Oh, it shows up there. I was like, I just have to do it. I have to expand. I have to step out of my comfort zone of my personal Facebook page and start learning these other outlets. So I decided that I was going to start working on my like page and, you know, also my blog and Instagram. But I started talking in the car, like, how do I do a like page? How is it different than what I'm posting on my personal page? And Katie Ersta actually was like, well, you have to come up with a brand. What is your brand? And I'm like, I don't know. I had no idea. So, yeah, that's how it started.
Okay, so now we're like in the car and we're driving and we're like thinking about all the things that sort of define you. So let's kind of think about this. What were the key behaviors that you did when you were only focusing on your Facebook personal page? I think that maybe sort of answered that question when I was answering you. And what are you doing differently when focusing on your Facebook like page and other outlets? So how is your Facebook page different than your like page is really what we're focused on, right?
Right, yep. Okay, so I focus on the 3 vital behaviors. I've done that for the entire 2.5 years that I've been coaching. Like Alyssa talked about, personal development, bring a product for the product. We all know what those are, but the part that people get confused about is inviting. What exactly is inviting? Do you just send out invites all the time? To me, inviting has a couple different meanings. So inviting, I actually include posting on my wall because it's a form of inviting. That's how you're building that relationship. So posting 3 to 5 times a day and building those relationships, that's all included in inviting because you don't want to just throw invites out randomly, you know? So posting and building relationships, really direct invites through posts and personal messages, and also follow-ups. I include all of that in inviting. So I was using all these forms of inviting to share my journey and just kind of, you know, invite people to join me along the way. So I was always really good at sending personal invites. That was kind of my thing. And it was super scary at first, but you know, Melanie was like, you just have to do it. You have to step out of your comfort zone. And that's why I'm up here. This is something I'm continuously working on. So I started sending personal invites, and that just became my thing. I spend most of my time in my inbox, actually, because I'm always forming those relationships and inviting. What I have not been good at is sharing my story prior to Beachbody. I feel like if anybody knows me, you kind of just found out that I'm super shy, and this is terrifying for me. So sharing my why and my previous story is something that's always been really hard for me. And then, although I've been successful up until this point, focusing on the 3 vital behaviors, I realized after talking with some of the girls in the car that I really need to open up more and show people who I truly am. Show them where I've been and, you know, where I've come from and what has made me who I am today, instead of just seeing the surface level of who I am. And that's really what's going to get people to connect with you on a deeper level and want to join you and be able to relate to you.
All right, so now we're starting to think about some questions, right, that we need to ask ourselves. And so, you know, people sort of, and again, you just said this, people look at you, they think you're beautiful, you're fit, you've never been overweight, you know, things must come easy for you, you know, and this is such a big part of your story that we were talking about, is like people just think you have it all together. I mean, is that true?
Not at all. It's so far from the truth. And I never talk about this, so like I'm really nervous right now, and I'm gonna look at my notes even though it's my story, but when I get nervous, I totally blank and forget parts, and I don't wanna miss anything. So I really didn't have that great of a childhood. My parents separated when I was little. My mom had an abusive boyfriend to us, and she passed away when I was 6. And my brother was 4, and I never talk about this to anybody, so it's really weird. Whenever my family talked about it, I would leave the room, so it's so weird to me right now. Anyways, the rest of my childhood is like a whole nother story in itself. It would take me a long time to talk about, but I was a huge nerd in school. I had about 4 friends. I had 0 self-esteem. I was really socially awkward, and I was bullied pretty badly, actually, not just verbally, but like physically, like slapped across the face and hair pulled down to the floor, like pretty bad. High school got a little bit better. I wasn't bullied anymore. I was never popular. For lunches, I sat in the hallway every single day with a couple of my friends. We never even went in the lunchroom because we were really just trying to avoid being picked on as much as possible. And then after high school, I developed an interest in hair and makeup. So I attended cosmetology school, and that was kind of my outlet to improving my self-image and just feeling better about myself, I think. So, yeah.
Here, do I need to move your slide?
Well, yeah, right now we can.
All right. So we're all sitting in the car, right? And we're like, oh my gosh, we never knew this about you, Shannon. We're like, this needs to become a part of your story. Do you know how many women that you could help? And so that's what leads us to our next question. So how are you going to use your story and put it all together to create your brand and gear your posts towards your target market? And how do you tell this story? How do you get it across to women? Like, hey, I've been through this. Let me help you. There's more to it.
Okay, so creating your brand. This is step 1, and this is also stuff that I came up with after talking to Katie, Ursa, and Melanie, and everybody in the car that day. It was literally my aha moment. And so most people have such a surface level why. And I realized whys aren't goals. Whys are your motivation behind achieving those goals. So you need to think to yourself, what are your goals? Why are these your goals? And what's driving you to reach these goals? So your real why is about either avoiding pain or seeking pleasure. So you gotta think, what makes you cry? And what just pisses you off? All right, so not that surface level, I wanna help people. Why do you wanna help people? What's happened to you in the past to make you the person you are today that makes you wanna help people? You wanna be a stay-at-home mom. Why? Has something happened to you in your past that has made you want to? So you have to think about what is giving you that motivation to have those goals. And then, so yeah, really just share this stuff. Share all the stuff that you are coming up with, and then combine who you are on the inside with what people see on the outside. So use what you've been through to inspire others, and make sure you make it consistent throughout all of your social media outlets. So step 2, define your niche. So ask yourself these questions when you're making your post. Who's your target audience? How will you be introduced to approach these people? What are your biggest burdens and the problems that they face? How do you intend to affect these, and how can you solve their problems? What makes your offer better than the competitors? Okay, so write these down, and yeah, so those are the questions that you need to ask yourself. Go ahead.
Sorry. Advance it ahead of time. But those are good questions. Like, you can literally sit down. Sarah and I were doing this when we were in Florida, and we were talking about this. I'm like, who do you speak to? Who is your target audience? Actually sit down and physically write out who you are speaking to, so that when you craft that post, you know who you're speaking to, what type of words they want to hear. The language would be different based on who your audience is, right? A 20-year-old is not going to talk the same to a 60-year-old. You're different points in your life. So, all right, so let's just talk about, now all of this happened in the car, and let's just say it took you a month of thinking about this, right? So you sort of mulled this over, you moved in the meantime. So let's see, what have you come up with now? Tell us a little bit about it.
So for this whole 2.5 years I've been coaching, I have not had a brand. I've just kind of winged it off of what I felt like posting. So I'm just now starting this. So if you guys start this, I'm going through it with you too. Okay, so you have to think, first impressions are judged by what we share about ourselves, how little or how much. So if you aren't opening up, and all people have to base their impression of you on is what they see. So do what I did. Ask someone that you trust what kind of image you're giving. So that's what I asked Katie in the car. And we weren't that close at this point. You know, we didn't know each other on a deeper level. And so this is what she told me. So I used what she told me and the questions that I have here. And this is how I developed my brand that you see here. So if you, so ask someone, oh, okay, I already said that. This is why you shouldn't read notes. With me not totally opening up to people, I found that people can easily think, like you said earlier, like she's pretty, you know, she's already fit, she doesn't have a big transformation, things must come easier to her. So I don't want people to think that about me. I want people to see who I am on the inside, where I've been in life, like I said, and the struggles that I've gone through and how I've overcome them. So that's what shapes me to who I am today. These are the things that are going to inspire others. So I asked myself these questions, and this is what I came up with. I use what people see on the inside, or I use what people see on the outside, like makeup and hair and stuff like that, which is how I came up with fitness makeover. And then I combine that with who I am underneath, which is the beauty lies within. So I'm going to use what I've been through, along with my passion of fitness and beauty, to inspire others. So my call to action for you guys is, think about 5 things that you can do to create your brand and identify your niche. So for example, I started off with asking myself those questions, and then I got on Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and I hired somebody to create a logo for me. That's how I got the Shannon Hargrave Fitness Makeover. So it was $5. I gave them sort of my idea, and that's what they came up with. And then I just put this together on PicMonkey, and that's what you do. And then if you want to, whatever outlet you're going to take, you know, focus on that. So for me, this is the cover of my like page. And then start creating posting ideas to go along with your brand.
So is it Shannon Hargrave? Like, is that what your like page is? Or
yes, this is my like page. So
that's
it's
the banner.
Oh, and so it's named Shannon Hargrave Fitness Makeover too.
Cool.
And public figure.
Awesome, awesome. So you guys can go follow her and follow her, how she's building her like page and how she's using that to really develop her niche over the next year. So we're excited to see how it goes, but I think this is an awesome activity, and I think it's pretty cool to see how many of you, I mean, people in the audience that are emeralds or brand new diamonds are like, I don't have a niche, I can't be successful. Shannon made it all the way to like 13-star diamond and is just now figuring out her brand new niche. So the point being is, you can still do this, right? So, all right, thank you so much, Shannon.